Well, the presidential administration is looking into deporting U.S. citizens. And you thought it was just undocumented immigrants. Well, can he do it? Let's break it down. Hi, I'm Melba Pearson, also known as the Resident Legal Diva, and this is The Breakdown. So we heard this week from White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt that the president is exploring legal pathways to deport U.S. citizens to El Salvador, where the administration has already arranged to house deported immigrants in a prison known for its human rights abuses. So, press secretary is suggesting that this is only going to be limited to people that have committed major crimes, such as, what's defined as a major crime, but okay. And the president also mentioned that he was thinking of sending people who committed lesser offenses abroad. So you've got the press secretary saying, oh no, it's only for major horrible things. And now the president is saying, no, you could be sent away for just about anything. Lovely. So it was couched in a lot of ifs. So the president has said that if it's legal, if there's a legal pathway to do it, he's not sure, and we're not sure that there is, but it's an idea that the president has simply floated and is discussing in a very public way in an effort to be transparent. Oh, my heart. Just so kind, so sweet. Thank you for the transparency. So the president told reporters on Air Force One that he loves the idea of removing U.S. citizens, saying that it would be an honor to send them to El Salvador, and his buddy president over there, who has been an eager lapdog to all of his foolishness. And this was an idea that he proposed last month, he being the president, when there was all of this backlash against Tesla and people were vandalizing and burning Teslas in protest of Apartheid Ken, otherwise known as Elon Musk's involvement in the administration, because people are like, we didn't vote for him, so why are you all up in our business? There's that. So he says, he, again being the president, says, I look forward to watching the sick terrorist thugs get 20-year jail sentences for what they are doing to Elon Musk and Tesla. Perhaps they could serve them in the prisons of El Salvador, which have become so recently famous for such lovely conditions. Well, we know that any move like that is going to be challenged in court. That can't stand. So let me tell you what the legal breakdown would be in normal times, because we're not in normal times, let's be very clear. But in normal times, this would be completely unconstitutional, right? So first of all, it's a violation of the Eighth Amendment. The Eighth Amendment is the amendment that prohibits cruel and unusual punishment. So basically, it prohibits excessively harsh or inhumane penalties like torture or deliberately degrading punishments or punishments that are disproportionate to the crime that was committed. So first off, stripping someone of their citizenship and sending them to a whole other country, yeah, that's disproportionate to anything you would have done. I mean, maybe I could see a pathway if it was like treason, but then again, the last time somebody got convicted for treason was, and a prison sentence wouldn't do that. But not even going down that pathway, how is that even remotely appropriate, right? So there's that. Then also, the Eighth Amendment also governs prison conditions. So issues like overcrowding, lack of medical care, filthy conditions, all of that runs afoul of the Eighth Amendment. So again, sending someone to a notorious, disgusting, filthy prison in El Salvador, that would be cruel and unusual because it's overcrowded. It's known for human rights abuses. It's known for a lack of medical care, et cetera, et cetera. So all of that runs afoul of the Eighth Amendment. And the best part is, love this as a lawyer, when defendants tell on themselves, basically the president knows that this is bad conditions because of the statement he's made previously, saying he knows that this prison is recently famous for such lovely conditions. Sarcasm, of course. He knows that it's a brutal place to be. So he can't now claim that, oh, I didn't know I was sending people to this awful place. Duh, we have your statement. So that is something that could be used in future litigation, which would come if he actually tries to implement this harebrained scheme. And also, This whole scheme violates the 14th Amendment. Now, the 14th Amendment is what guarantees you citizenship. We've been talking about that a lot in terms of the birthright citizenship and whether or not, people who are born here to undocumented migrants should stay, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it's well settled law that if you are born in these United States or an affiliated territory, you are a U.S. citizen. So if you are born here, you have no business being deported to some random country. Period, end of story. So all of this, unconstitutional. So his argument is that, well, this is going to save tax dollars and all of that. Lawsuits cost money, right? To be able to defend these lawsuits and have these, assistant U.S. attorneys in court day after day trying to, fight against these lawsuits that will be brought by the ACLU and other groups, that's again costing taxpayer dollars that again should be going towards enforcement of real crimes. Because the crimes haven't stopped. I mean, there are things that they could focus on, but they're choosing to focus on this because, oh, right, yeah, racism, yada, yada, all the isms. Got it. Okay. So don't think this is necessarily going to go anywhere in the immediate future. This is probably truly just a float, just to kind of throw it out there, see what reactions are, see how much anger or backlash comes from it. And also remember, this is something to help take our eyes off the ball, because a lot of these things get thrown out there so we're not focusing on other attacks on our democracy. So again, something to note, something to watch, something to think about, but don't take your eye off of all the other foolishness that's going on in this administration. Again, this is blatantly unconstitutional. He may try ram it through like he's done with what has happened with the folks that are Venezuelan that have been deported, allegedly for being gang members without due process. Again, the Supreme Court has spoken on that and said it was a mixed bag, but they did state clearly that anybody being deported needs to have their day in court. They need to have due process and the opportunity to say, hey, I'm not a gang member. Hey, I'm not what you've accused me to be. The government still has to prove, they still have the burden of proof that you are guilty and that you should be deported, that you have failed to comply with the orders in this country, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully, the Supreme Court will not kowtow if this issue comes up. I feel like it might be a line in the sand when you start to deport literal U.S. citizens, but then again, hate to use that word unprecedented because it's kind of getting tired now, but this is unprecedented. Again. Stay woke, folks. I'm Melba Pearson, also known as the Resident Legal Diva, and this was The Breakdown. Take care.
In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.